Hey everybody, welcome to the Vitruvian Gamer. My name is Kurt.
And I'm Anya.
And we're here today with a new review. We are going to review this game here, Wizards & Co. by Sinister Fish Games.
This one was sent to us for a review.
Yes.
Small disclaimer. So
we got a review copy here. The designers of this game are some very Italian names. So let's read this. It's Virginio Gigli, Flaminia Brazzini, Stefano Luperto, and Antonio Tinto. And the artwork is by Miguel Coimbra.
Could be Spanish.
Don't
know.
So, in this game...
it's a 2 to 4 player game. It lasts around 30 to 60 minutes. And the box says it's 14
ages 14 and up. There you go. In this game, we are wizards.
Yes.
And we are trying to be the new boss in town or in the dungeons.
We're actually trying to loot the dungeons.
Yeah.
So there are dungeons in these games and they are abandoned because the high necromancer that was the boss of all these dungeons, he has died.
Indeed.
And the dungeons are full with
treasure.
And we have gems and we have artifacts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we can't do it alone.
We cannot do it alone. We have some hench folk to do so.
Yes, so we hire some people.
And we are going to in the dungeon and see which gems we can grab and artifacts as well. But it's not easy to explain it like this. Just let's go to the table and just take a look at how it plays. In Wizards & Co, players each have the same deck of cards with monsters in 4 classes, recognizable from the icon in their top right corner. These monsters also have a power value in their left top corner, and an effect at the bottom, which can either be a when placed, a battle, or a passive effect. Players will draw a hand of these cards and play them in a number of dungeons depending on player count, where they will compete for the most power while trying to get different colors of gems to score points at the end of the game, but try to avoid the cursed gems. In their turn, players will place up to 2 cards in open and vacant slots of the dungeon. They can either play 0 cards when their hand is empty, or 1 card face up and draw 2 cards afterwards. They can play 1 card face down, or 2 cards in 2 different dungeons and draw 1 card afterwards, or they can play 2 cards in the same dungeon, but don't draw any cards afterwards. When playing 2 cards, only one of them can be placed face down. When a face-up placed card has an immediate effect, this is triggered as soon as the card is played, while a face-down placed card with such an action will not get to activate such an effect. As soon as all slots of a dungeon are occupied with a monster, the last player to place a monster initiates a battle there. All monsters get flipped face up and activate their battle effects in order, starting with the monster to the right of the statue, while passive effects will immediately influence the battle or other monsters. Each monster that is left at the end of the battle will earn their owner the gem, if any, at its spot. Then players add up the power value of those monsters and the player with the most power will get to pick one of the artifact tiles on the dungeon, and the player with the second most power gets to take the leftover one. These tiles will provide their owner equipment for their monsters or new monsters from a separate deck and are worth points at the end of the game. The player who started the battle gets the enchantment token, which is worth 1 point at the end of the game. Each player takes back their cards and places them at the bottom of their deck, and then the dungeon tile gets turned around and a new enchantment tile is placed on it. If there is no more enchantment tile to place, the game ends and points are counted. First, the players with the most cursed gems loses 3 points. And then every player has to remove one of their other gems for each of their cursed gems. If players still have cursed gems left, they get 1 minus point for each of them. Points are then earned from sets of different colored gems players still have, enchantment tiles and artifact tiles. The player with the most points is the winner of the game. Welcome back. So that's how the game works, most of it. I think we covered most bases here. So yeah, what do we think of this game?
Well, let's start with just like the look, all the components and stuff like that. The components are very nice. I do like the gems. They're small wooden, you can't really see it in my hand, but like small wooden components.
Sturdy cardboard.
Lovely.
All good. And then we have the tokens. They're the same cardboard.
Lovely. Good linen finish cards. I really like.
No, there's
artwork.
Artwork is cute. It's pretty. It gives you the tropes of Dungeons and Dragons kind of things, fantasy things. Really funny artwork. It doesn't take itself too serious.
No.
I guess also this game doesn't take itself too serious. It's a lighter game. The rulebook was super clear, to be honest. It's very, as you can see, a lot of examples. The setup is the boards are explained and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Compact, very clear. I had no complaints about the rulebook, which I've seen different rulebooks than this. So there in the production, not that much to complain about, to be honest. It's a nice small box. Everything fits in the box. It's also not too much air in the box, which I like. So it's a nice filled box with components.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gameplay wise,
I liked it.
You liked it? Yeah.
It was a fast game. The cool thing is that you all start with the same cards in your hand, so not in your hand, in your deck.
In your deck,
you draw cards.
And you draw 4 cards in the beginning of the game.
So it's everyone's game. Everyone can win. It's very quickly. I like the combat system. I do think that going purely for gems might not be the right tactic to go for. I do think that you have to try to win combat as well.
Yeah, I didn't mention the points. I don't know them by heart, but if at the end of the game you get points for sets of different gems, so you can have multiple sets, but you need quite a bunch of gems in order to score big points, and you will lose some gems if you still have the cursed gems as well at the end of the game. And the artifacts, they are worth somewhere between 3 and 7 points, I think.
The
so
golden
3 for
ones,
the
7.
bronze ones until 7 for the golden ones. Those points are super important. So that's the way to score points. You get some bonus. You get 1 bonus point if you initiate the battle. So if you play the last card in the dungeon, which is not that much of influence on your score, but the
still,
artifacts.
The artifacts are very powerful. You need
12
12 gems to score 6 points, so 12 different color gems in order to score 6 points. If you know that a gold artifact is worth 7, that's
so that's pretty important.
Yeah.
So the power of the cards in order to score the highest number there and get that first choice of artifact is also very important.
Yes.
The player count wise, I think that's a very important one with this game. So it's 2 to 4 players. With 2 players, you have 2 dedicated boards for 2 players. I think you have 3 boards with 3 and 4 players. And I think with 2 players, it's a little bit too much of just waiting to see that you can play the last 1 or 2 cards in a dungeon to initiate the battle, and also to kind of know that you're going to win with power, because
it's never like, because the cards sometimes
there can be cards face down, but there are so few cards with 2 players in a dungeon because there are less open spots in a dungeon that I still have the feeling that you could kind of know that you would win the power struggle. So I liked that better.
Two, so
you didn't play that at
I don't
2,
know.
but I liked it way better with more players, which was more open, a little bit more strategy in where to place your cards, where to place them face down, face up, and all that stuff. So that made it much more interesting for me, to be honest.
I do think if you play it more, you're gonna like the game more, just because you're going to know what kind of henchmen that you have in your deck, and also you can find synergies between them. So I do think that this game is one, like, if you get to know your cards, get to know their powers, that you might be able to strategize a bit more than how I played in the first game.
And if you play it more, if the other players also do, then it kind of also becomes a little bit like a bluffing game, because what are you going to place face down? What's there? You don't know. So that's interesting. There are cards that let you move cards to a different, or swap cards to a different spot. Sorry about that. So that's interesting. So I guess indeed, if you know the cards, you might even try to think about what's still coming, or what you already seen from other players. You might be really thinking about where and when to place certain cards. So that's really cool. Also, the equipment tokens, so the artifacts, some of them are equipment, and you can also when you play a card, you can
Upgrade,
play that artifact
Yeah.
with that card, so it gets a boost or some kind.
Mhm.
Also, that is an advanced rule, but I don't see that much reason not to play with it.
No, I wouldn't play without it.
Exactly.
If you played it
yeah.
like once, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And that adds another layer, so that's pretty cool as well.
Mhm.
And then the other tiles artifacts that you get adds new monsters, so there's another pile of monsters that each player has.
Yeah.
And if you get a certain monster token, you can take that card into your hand,
Yeah.
and now it's in your deck. And those are pretty powerful cards for interesting abilities.
How about variability in the box?
Variability, I think, is medium. It's not too bad. I don't know if you can hear it, but my daughter is yelling from
Playing
2 floors
downstairs.
down, so it might get through the sound. But anyway, replayability is definitely there because there is an improvement that you can get by playing it more. You will also see different combination of cards.
Yeah.
Plus, you can also add a variant to the game where you one player chooses which monster types to use, and from that separate deck as well.
Yeah.
Every player takes the same ones, so you always have the same deck as the other players.
Yeah.
But then you have a different mix of cards. So I think there is quite a bit of replayability in there.
Is it because I saw online on BGG that there was like a drafting variant? Is that a drafting variant?
I guess that's what they call the drafting variant.
Okay.
Yeah, I assume that's
Okay.
That's how they named it.
Okay.
I could be mistaken, but
Same here.
but all in, it's a pretty neat game that gives some replayability and some after a couple of plays. I guess indeed the strategy increases.
I
after
think
you
so.
know the
Yeah.
cards.
And it doesn't outstay its welcome. It's a very fast game. I do think if you get to know your cards, it's going to be even faster.
Yeah.
Because you know what's in your deck, you know what's coming.
I
So, yeah.
really liked the 2 things I liked the most. I think was the card placement, where you could choose how many cards to play.
Yeah,
So you
that's true.
can play up to 2 cards, depending how many cards and how you place them, face up, face down. You get to draw new cards.
Yeah.
So that's also an interesting decision. To give information or not, or to have less cards in your hand or more cards in your hand, so you have more stuff to play that later in the round.
Yeah.
That was interesting, and I just liked it. I like that the dungeons. Each time you get a new dungeon, you get a new enchantment on it. It made the name of the dungeon, so you had it created a name. So you had, for example, we have here the Tower of
Forbidden Lore.
And the Forbidden Lore part gives you a special thing for that dungeon, a special rule or effect, and that I like that. So gave some extra flair to the game. So that's the things the 2 things I actually liked the most about this game.
Yeah. So
final thoughts. This is a game. I guess it's not a heavy game, so I assume 14 plus. I think.
If they can read
for
English,
many board game families, it might be way earlier to play the game.
So too.
I don't know why it's 14. Maybe because of its combat theme. Maybe there are some monster cards. I don't know.
I don't know
but
either.
they're all quite funny or cute, cartoony.
Yeah.
So for people who like a lighter game but still have this pretty neat back and forth, trying to bluff your way to the highest score, try to figure out what your opponents will play and play cards next to it that might remove those cards and stuff like that. So I really liked it. So I guess it's pretty neat, and I would give this a 7.5.
I would give this the same, a 7.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I really liked it. So, like you said, light game. You do have to make some decisions. Which cards are you gonna play face up? Which are going to play face down? In what dungeon are you going to start the battle? Yes or no? I really like it. Yeah.
There you go. That's a 7.5 for Wizards & Co. Neat little game. So check it out.
Definitely.
Thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you next time with a new review or playthrough or whatever. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.
Bye.